Ha! I made it one day before the premiere for episode 8 of Daredevil Born Again, or 8 and 9. I don't really know the premiere schedules anymore for these episodes, but yeah, I made it. I finally am getting around to this review. It's been a long time coming. Sorry for the lateness yet again. I just, week after week with this Daredevil stuff, I think just because, it's like a weekly release every Tuesday, it's like an excuse to just be lazy. No, sorry about that. This is like the last time it'll happen. Trust me. With the next episode review, it will come out the next day. Alright, with all that lengthy intro out of the way, let's just get straight into my thoughts for episode 7 of Daredevil Born Again, because man, this episode was crazy. So the first major thing that happens in this episode is Wilson Fisk's assistant actually tells Fisk himself that, of course, Daredevil is back, because, of course, what happened at the end of last episode, Matt Murdock, of course, returned to don the Daredevil suit again and save Hector Ayala's niece. So now it's all about getting Fisk back to think that, like, Matt is fully back as Daredevil, and of course this pisses him off, because this is like the complete opposite of what he wants. He doesn't want any vigilantes, and he knows he can't just simply kill Matt like he did with White Tiger. No, he has to probably get his hands dirty to even try to. But he's still, like, holding back. He's holding back his anger. I mean, he did unleash it last episode, but, like, he's just kind of holding it back. He's not really directing it to Daredevil yet. Of course, 2 episodes are left. Something's gonna go down to cause them to cross paths and hopefully fight in an epic season 1 final, but who knows. But back to episode 7, yeah, he is informed that Matt is back, and right after that, Cherry and another officer go and investigate the hideout for Muse, and they find a bunch of, like, of course, his murals. They find that. They also find, like, a little red blood-soaked piece of mural on the floor, so that's really that. And yeah, that's really seen there. But the next really major thing that happens is they decide to reveal who Muse really is. And I'm not saying this was a terrible decision, but it just feels like not the right time. This show should have been, like, at least as long as the prior show was, 13 episodes per season, because that gave us so much time to really, like, evaluate these stories and maybe, if needed, bring them to a great conclusion. But no, they just sped run through this entire Muse story plot, because, like, in episode 2 or episode 1 of Daredevil Born Again, we get to see, like, this crazy kid who wants a signature for a book, and you could just kind of suspect that, oh, he's Muse, but, like, you don't really know yet, because, you'd think that they'd, like, set it up better, not introduce this guy, like, right away out of the blue. No, you'd think they maybe, like, ease into that, but no, they, like, dropped it upon us in the second episode, or the first episode of Daredevil Born Again, kind of setting that up with, hey, there's really nothing wrong with that, but, like, we don't get to see this guy at all until episode 7, until, of course, it's revealed that he's Muse, because out of the blue, during his session with the doctor, who actually is the same doctor who's dating Matt Murdock, he just, like, gets a random nosebleed, and of course, instantly, that's Muse. As soon as you see the nosebleed start, that's Muse. And honestly, what I did like about this reveal and happening this episode is we finally get to know why he is able to actually hold his own against Daredevil, because something I definitely noticed in their fight in episode 6 is he actually held his own pretty well against Matt. Now, that could just be because Matt was, kind of done being Daredevil, and over time, your fighting abilities kind of just rust, and as you come back to it, it unrusts, and you become better. But, I thought that for a little bit, but now I was like, yeah, Daredevil doesn't rust, I mean, how long has he had away from the suit? 2 years? 1 year? Like, it wasn't anything too major, but I feel like that is maybe why Muse was able to really hold his own against Matt, land some shots and have such a long fight with Matt. And even in this episode, you could see, but the real reason Muse is able to actually hold his own against Matt is because he actually used to take karate lessons, or taekwondo, which he actually hated, but comes in handy for when you want to be a murderer. What if the person fights back? But anyway, so yeah, the entire reveal was kind of just interesting at most, really, because of how early they decided to do it, how quick they decided to do it, because maybe if we got to see, like, Muse without the suit, like, we got to see Muse a good amount in the series up to now, but, like, we didn't really get to see him in, like, his normal normal everyday attire, you know, like the human side of him. And I feel like maybe that was done to maybe hide his identity and like not let Marvel fans just so easily figure out who Muse really is. But like seriously, as soon as the nosebleed happened, or as soon as this guy started like going crazy and talking very fast and crazy, we already knew it was Muse, you know? But like I had a feeling that it was Muse this entire time, like that kid, because he was just like very eerie and kind of a intimidating force when we first saw him at the book signing in like what, episode 1, episode 2. But yeah, and to see this reveal, it wasn't too great, but I'm not gonna really complain about it because they've been just so awesome this television series. They've been doing everything so well, and I just hate to freaking nitpick at one of my favorite superheroes of all time, and seeing him return after this long is just so lovely, you know. But anyway, of course, all this leads to a hostage situation, and Wilson Fisk's task force tries to help, but of course they're idiots, so they like literally get to the scene way later than they should have, because while they're like trying to get in, freaking Muse is already taking out all the blood from this lady, and of course Daredevil comes out of the blue. I actually did not expect to see Matt fight Muse in this episode. I did not expect that at all. It was a very fun treat and definitely gave me something worth talking about with this episode, you know. But yeah, the fight between them is very quick, but it is a very, very well done and well choreographed fight scene, ending in like a jump scare moment when Daredevil spins Muse, and like all of a sudden, boom, 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 Muse is dead because he was just shot by Matt's girlfriend, and there you go, the death of Muse right there. And I feel like killing him off wasn't really the right thing to do, but you know, maybe it's just to get rid of him for Fisk to become the villain again, which hey, I'm fine with. I know Wilson is the definitive villain for Daredevil, and I just hate like how he's all dormant and professional in this series, but like that gave us room for, of course, Muse, you know, and I'm glad that they did what they did. But killing him off was a very interesting move, especially this like in the middle of things. I wouldn't say too early on or too late, because there's 9 episodes and this is episode 7. There's only 2 episodes left, but I can't wait to see what the aftermath of all this will be. But like, of course, the task force having nothing to do with Muse's death and the saving of that person who was kidnapped, they take all the credit, and Fisk is like, oh, I told you if I was mayor I'd get things done, and then he holds Muse's mask up in front of all the press to see, and he takes all the credit for it. But then like at the end of the episode, when this boy's like just eating dinner, eating steak, he's approached by this like gangster guy who's been like working with Vanessa, and like jump scare, Wilson Fisk's assistant just shoots him and kills him immediately. So that was an interesting little jump scare moment to end off the episode. But yeah, I'm not complaining. I'm still loving Daredevil Born Again. It is a really strong and great comeback to see Daredevil back on screen, especially after this long. But yeah, I'm just really loving Daredevil Born Again so far, and I cannot wait for tomorrow's episode 8. And maybe it will be a 2-episode release, 8 and 9, but highly unlikely considering 9 is the finale, so we might just get 1 episode, which hey, I'm fine with. I'm fine with anything as long as we're getting Daredevil. But yeah, this episode was really, really awesome, and like I said, I'm sorry the review came so late. No excuses. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Maybe in the comment section below, let me know what you thought of Daredevil Born Again episode 7. But this has been my thoughts on episode 7 of Daredevil Born Again. See you guys on the next video.